Talladega just delivered one of those Sundays that the NASCAR world does not forget quickly, and now Denny Hamlin is speaking up about what happened. The 45-year-old veteran went on his podcast the Monday after the race and said something about Carson Hocevar that has genuinely caught the attention of everyone who follows this sport closely. Because when a driver with Denny Hamlin's history and standing in NASCAR decides to go on record and call a young driver the future of the sport, that is not something you brush past without paying attention to it. Here is what actually happened on Sunday at Talladega Superspeedway. Carson Hocevar, the young driver of the number 77 car, won the Jack Links 500 and earned the first Cup Series victory of his entire career. And when that checkered flag came down and the moment finally hit him, he let every single emotion out without holding anything back. The celebration was long, loud, and completely full of pure joy. Tens of thousands of fans packed into those Talladega grandstands roared right along with him, and you could genuinely feel the energy coming through your television screen. After the race, Miss Alabama Emma Terry handed him the ceremonial wreath, and Hocevar stood there and soaked in every second of it without rushing a single moment. This was his day, and he made absolutely sure everyone knew it. Before we dig into what Denny Hamlin said, and why it matters so much, if you enjoy real NASCAR conversations that actually go beneath the surface and tell you what is really going on in the sport, go ahead and subscribe to this channel right now and drop a like on this video. We break down the biggest stories from around the garage every week with honest opinions and no filler. Come be part of the community. Now let us get into it. When something this significant happens in NASCAR, everyone wants to hear from the voices that actually carry weight in the garage. And Denny Hamlin is at the very top of that list. He has been racing at the highest level in this sport for years. He drives for Joe Gibbs Racing, and he has built what is clearly going to be a Hall of Fame career behind the wheel. He is also one of the most honest and outspoken people in all of NASCAR, which is a big reason why his podcast Actions Detrimental has become something serious fans of the sport genuinely tune into every week. On Monday's episode, he talked about Hocevar's win, and he did not offer the polite surface-level congratulations that drivers sometimes give each other when a microphone is pointed at them. He went deep, and he was direct about what he actually thinks. Hamlin started by saying it was a great win for Hocevar and a great win for the sport. That second part is worth stopping on for a moment. When a driver of his experience says a win is good for NASCAR itself, and not just for the driver who got it, that carries a different kind of meaning. He is not simply being nice. He is saying the sport as a whole gained something valuable from what happened at Talladega on Sunday. But that was not even the line that turned the most heads. Hamlin kept going and talked about how NASCAR has been working to build up its young drivers and promote them as the new faces of the sport going forward. And then he said that Hocevar is going to be part of the short list of drivers who carry this sport for quite some time. That is the line that people grabbed onto immediately, and for very good reason. Denny Hamlin placing Carson Hocevar on a short list of future standard bearers for NASCAR is not a small or throwaway compliment. That is a serious and considered statement from someone who has earned the right to make it. Now here is where this story gets a really fascinating layer added to it. When you look closely at the specific qualities that Hamlin pointed to as making Hocevar special, something jumps out at you right away. Every single trait he described in Hocevar is a trait that defined Denny Hamlin's own rise to the top of this sport. It genuinely feels like he is looking into a mirror and describing what he sees. The first quality Hamlin identified is that Hocevar truly loves every part of NASCAR. He does not just show up to drive and go home. He actually cares about the sport in a deep way, paying attention to the stories, the history, the rivalries, and everything that makes NASCAR what it is beyond just the racing itself. Anyone who has followed Denny Hamlin over the years knows that he is exactly the same way. He eats, sleeps, and breathes this sport with a passion that goes well beyond professional obligation. The second quality is aggression on the racetrack. Hocevar is not a driver who sits back and waits for things to happen. He goes and creates opportunities, he makes moves, he pushes other drivers, and he races with an edge that cannot be taught to someone who does not naturally carry it. Denny Hamlin has always been one of the most aggressive competitors in the entire garage. He will race you hard, and he will race you clean, but he absolutely will not back down when something is on the line. Third, Hamlin called out that Hocevar is completely unapologetic about who he is. He does not shrink himself to make other people comfortable. If he has something to say, he says it, and if he wants to celebrate a win in a way that is loud and emotional and takes up space, he does exactly that without worrying about whether everyone approves. Hocevar showed that quality perfectly with his celebration at Talladega. Denny Hamlin has built his entire public personality around that same approach for his whole career. And fourth, the one Hamlin put plainly as perhaps the most important of all, Hocevar is simply fast. He can drive a race car at a genuinely high level, and all the personality and passion and aggression in the world means nothing in this sport if the speed is not underneath it. Hocevar has the speed, and Hamlin knows it, because he has the same thing himself. Those four qualities together are essentially the exact blueprint that Denny Hamlin used to build a career that is going to land him in the Hall of Fame. So when he looks at a young driver and sees all four of those things present at the same time, of course he is going to say this kid could be the future. He knows from personal experience what those four things combined can produce over the course of a long career in this sport. It is also worth pointing out that the Talladega win did not come out of nowhere for Hocevar. Through the first 10 races of the 2026 season, he has been building something real. The results have been solid, and the development has been consistent week to week. The win at Talladega was the biggest moment of his career so far, but it was not a random accident. It was the result of a driver who has been getting better at his craft steadily and who had been building toward a breakthrough that the people paying close attention could see coming. For NASCAR, as a sport, this all connects to something much bigger that has been a conversation for a while now. The sport needs its next generation of stars, drivers who can grab the attention of younger fans and bring genuine excitement and personality to the garage every single weekend. The veterans who have carried NASCAR for years are not going to race forever. Denny Hamlin himself is 45 years old. Someone has to pick up the torch eventually and carry it forward. And Hamlin is saying openly that Hocevar is one of the very few young drivers who actually has everything it takes to do that job at the highest level. There is also a quietly interesting background element to all of this involving Spire Motorsports, the team that puts Hocevar's number 77 car on the track. After the Talladega win, some bold statements came out of the Spire camp, and there were even hints of pointed comments directed toward Joe Gibbs Racing, which happens to be Denny Hamlin's team. So while Hamlin is being genuinely respectful and complimentary toward Hocevar in public, a team rivalry is quietly heating up in the background that adds another layer to this whole story as the season moves forward. What we are watching right now with Carson Hocevar is something genuinely worth following closely for the rest of this season. A young driver wins his first Cup race at one of the most famous and demanding tracks in all of NASCAR. He celebrates in a way that feels completely authentic and completely him. The fans respond with the kind of energy that cannot be faked or planned. And then, one of the sport's biggest stars goes on his podcast the very next day and tells the world that this kid is the future and that he reminds him of himself. That combination does not come along every week, and it does not come along for every driver. That is the kind of thing that marks the beginning of something, rather than just a single chapter. The challenge now sitting in front of Hocevar is whether he can keep building on this moment. Winning one race is hard. Becoming a consistent winner is harder. Becoming a genuine face of the sport is the hardest thing of all. But based on what he has shown so far in 2026, and based on what Denny Hamlin is willing to say about him publicly, the foundation looks very real. Keep your eye on the number 77 car, because if Hamlin is right, Sunday at Talladega was only the beginning of this story. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and let us know in the comments whether you think Denny Hamlin is right about Carson Hocevar being the next face of NASCAR. We want to hear your take.